Hey guys, welcome back to Between Bounds. President Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey is putting a lot of strain on every branch, politically every branch in the United States government. Congressman Dwight Evans is here to talk more about the Comey controversy. Congressman, such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me for this opportunity.
You're very welcome. So let's jump right into it. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is talking a lot about that Democrats should hold up anything regarding the head of any new FBI director until a special prosecutor is appointed regarding the Russia investigation. Do you think that Democrats should be doing that?
I think that we need to get to the bottom line and understand what the facts are. It's clear that with what is taking place and what the president did last week, sends the wrong message in terms of our law enforcement. And when you really think about it, to have the FBI investigating the president, then he turns around and fires the head of it, there's some questions there first. Secondly, in terms of the Russian investigation, it should be open, should be transparent. But you got to remember, the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the FBI. So it's clear to me that what my constituents want to know is what are the facts? What exactly is taking place here? And it seems that the president is not as open and transparent as he claimed he was going to be. You know, he talked about draining the swamp. And when you look at it, I mean, it's really unclear in terms of exactly what this president doing in terms of being transparent.
Congressman, let's switch gears a little bit. You know, we had several reports out over the course of the last few days that there are people in and around the president in the White House administration growing increasingly concerned with his mental state. There's really no other way to put it. There's a Washington Post report that cited one high-ranking GOP official. He said, quote, "The president seems lost in some kind of paranoid delusion." Congressman, let me ask you, do you think that President Trump is delusional to some form or another? And do you have substantial concerns about his mental state right now?
Well, first, I'm not a mental health expert, so I don't want to comment if it is or is not. But it does seem like there's some real inconsistencies in terms of the way he conducts himself. You know, he tweets one thing, he says another thing, and basically he's been inconsistent with the truth. And as a result of that, that's the wrong thing we need today. If anything, we need someone who's going to be open, honest, and transparent. And he leaves a lot to be desired in that area. So I can't speak on his mental health because I don't know him, I haven't met him, I don't have a sense of that. But what I think the American public deserves is open and honesty. And no matter who you are, we need our government to work, and we need it to be transparent.
Well, Congressman, let me ask you, if you don't mind, elaborate for us. What have been some of the most concerning things that you've seen the president do personally that have given you some reason for reservation?
Well, I mean, when you think about, to me, how he handled the North Korea situation, I mean, it wasn't like there was a plan. When he talked about he fired the Tomahawk Commission. And look, I mean, in Syria, I thought that was inconsistent in terms of his rhetoric around North Korea. So when you look at North Korea and you look at Syria, you look at really inconsistent behavior in terms of the way he conducted. Look, there's no question. I'm no fan of North Korea and no fan of Syria. But it doesn't seem like there's a plan and a direction in terms of how he's conducting himself. And, you know, there is a Congress, and we should be involved and should be briefed and understand fully in terms of whether the actions that he's going to be taking.
Congressman Adam Schiff, somebody part of the Democratic Party and the House Intelligence Committee, has asked for President Trump to release the so-called tapes that he has almost been blackmailing Jim Comey about, that he might have been recording him with. Congressman, do you think that there are tapes in the Oval Office?
Well, if they are, I would agree with my colleague. They should be released. I mean, it does sound like shades of Richard Nixon. That should happen. We should have that discussion. That's what I mean to the part when I said to you about open and transparent. I think the public has a right to know. We need to clearly understand. Because, again, you see he tweet any kind of information he put out there, but we don't see the sense of consistency in this administration. If we're going to deal with things like infrastructure and jobs, things that are very important to the American public, it's clear to me that we have to function together. And with this president, at least some question that he has some real question about dealing with the facts.
All right, Congressman, let's switch gears a little bit here. By my count, you've got about 11 or so of your Democratic colleagues, either in the Senate or in the House, who have either called directly for the president to face impeachment or have at least substantially discussed impeachment. This list includes people like Tulsi Gabbard, Maxine Waters. Certainly, she actually said that first right here on Cheddar. Not long ago, Keith Ellison said he's already done a number of things that legitimately raise the concern of impeachment. Do you think at any point you will join the growing chorus of Democratic lawmakers in looking for impeachment proceedings against this president?
Well, right now at this particular point, I'm just waiting to see exactly. Look, I think he's trying to undermine our institutions. And when you think about it, particularly around this investigation around Russia, there's some serious questions about his behavior and his relationship. So at this particular point, I'm at the wait and see. I think we should have accountability. He needs to be accountable like we in Congress need to be accountable. And it's clear to me today that the American public does not like what's taking place. You only have to look at his polling numbers. His polling numbers are underwater in terms of the approval rate. That should tell you something about what the public is thinking about this president and how he's conducting himself. But at the end of the day, we got to figure out how we make things work and how we move things forward. And look, I'll be more than open if there's evidence that this president shows that he's not capable of doing the job, to have him under some kind of review. And that's what we should do. We should keep him under some kind of review because it's clear that some of his actions leave a lot to be desired.
Congressman, while we still have you, there's been a lot of talk about who President Trump is going to appoint to run the FBI in replace of Jim Comey. There's been a lot of speculation of a lot of names out there. But one name Republicans continue to keep talking about is Merrick Garland, the judge that President Obama was nominated to fill the Supreme Court void of Antonin Scalia. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell thinks that's a great idea. Do you think Merrick Garland should run the FBI?
Well, one, I don't know Judge Garland, but I said this too. I think you need a professional. You need somebody who knows and understands what the FBI is all about. I don't think you just need anybody. And I don't know Judge Garland, but I think you need someone who knows the system, understands the system, and is prepared to stand up to the president. Remember, this is all centered on the basis that somebody needs to stand up to the president. You recall in that so-called dinner the president had, that he's trying to get loyalty from Mr. Comey, and because he chose not to be loyal, the president fired him. So it appears to me that we need somebody who's going to stand up and be loyal to the American public and put the country first. I heard you earlier say, what does that exactly mean? Or someone said that. It's important when we talk about, because this is about the country. It's not about Democrat or Republican.
Congressman, walk us through to that last point. What's some of the feedback you're hearing from your constituents there in the Philadelphia area about these growing controversies facing the administration? Do you have your constituents expressing a lot of frustration with you directly about the way that things are going on right now with this administration?
Well, one, there's a lot of anxiety, first and foremost. That's what people say. Secondly, they raise some serious questions. There are people who in my district who think he should go, to be honest with you. They have some anxiety. They're uncertain about him. He has showed uncertainty in his leadership. And, in his first 100 days, he hasn't sent the right message of bringing people together. He's still trying to divide people. He's still talking about the election. He's still talking about the element of voter turnout. The election's over. He is the president. So he should govern and lead the country rather than still talk about the election, talk about Hillary Clinton. We don't need that discussion anymore. The election is over. It's past 100 days. So my constituents have a lot of anxiety, and they're just very much concerned about, is he capable of being the president of the United States? So that's why when you hear the word impeachment pushed around, it's only because he has shown real uncertainty in terms of bringing people together and making a difference.
Congressman, our last question for you today. I know you said the election is over. Of course, the 2018 election is right around the corner. A lot of nonpartisan groups think the Democrats are going to be taking back the majority in the House of Representatives. So very quickly, sir, do you think that your party will be in the majority come next year?
I think we're in the best position, and I've even been there a short period of time than we ever. And President Trump is the gift that keeps giving. It's strictly the way he's conducting his behavior that, in my view, gives us the opportunity to have a shot in 2018. Now, that's not the basis of the way I would want it to happen. I mean, I want it on an agenda: jobs, education, healthcare. President Trump trying to take away healthcare from 24 million people, the Muslim ban. I mean, when you look at trying to take away health care from 24 million people and the Muslim ban, you really got to be concerned. So I think we are in a great position, got a long way to go, cannot take anything for granted or anybody for granted. But I think we're in a pretty good position at this point.
All right, Congressman Dwight Evans from the great state of Pennsylvania, we really appreciate you joining us today, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Coming up, guys, in Between Bells, what does the Comey firing mean for the future of the FBI? We'll talk about that. But first, all the times that Sean Spicer has clarified his controversial Holocaust remarks. Take a look.